8:05 is the time right now. It's the 1st of September 2016. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the Showgram. And we are just so privileged to actually have the legend in the studio with us. Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian fast bowling legend, Glenn McGrath. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
We're doing great. How are you?
Yeah, no, enjoying it here. So it's good to be back. It's been a while, but good to be back here in Sri Lanka.
How many times have you been to Sri Lanka?
Not as many as I first thought. I was having a look last night, and I think I've only been here about 3 times. So 2 one-day series and 1 test series. So not that often.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So first question is for we've got tons of questions that actually come down.
Tons.
And we need to find out. Apart from the fact that the Australian cricket team is in Sri Lanka, what are you doing here?
Yeah. No, I'm back on a bit of a promotional tour.
Okay.
I'm a brand ambassador for an iconic Australian company who's also involved with the Australian cricket team. So just over doing a bit of stuff with them for the next few days. So getting around to a few cricket clubs and what have you, and a few other things. So they'll keep me busy, but it should be fun.
Excellent.
How long will you be here for?
Just 2 days. So I fly out Saturday morning. So I don't meet up with the Aussie team at all the Sri Lankan boys. So they're up country somewhere.
That's right.
So the timing wasn't good in that respect.
The team knows you're here. The Australian team knows you're here.
Probably not. No. So, but after the way they played last night, I'm a little bit happier.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So there are so many questions that we need to basically ask you. And first of all, of course, is the fact that it's been 9 years since you retired from international cricket.
Yep. 2007. So my last game actually was against Sri Lanka, the World Cup final in Barbados.
We were there.
2007. It rained like crazy.
Yeah, there were so many questions we had after that game. But yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
And I think the game finished about midnight, and they don't have lights at the ground, so it was just nearly pitch black.
And it was just unbelievable how it was just suddenly started raining out of nowhere. And yeah, you're right. It did actually finish around midnight, and it was a bit of a fast, wasn't it, at the end of it, that they had to finish the match?
Yeah, so the umpires, we thought we'd won. We're so far in front, 3 overs to go, and I think Sri Lanka needed 60-odd runs.
That's right.
So the umpires came up to us, we're celebrating, said, well, actually, we have to bowl these last 3 overs, and we may have to come back the next morning, which was a bit ridiculous. So after the captains had a chat, and Mahela was keen to continue on and bowl those last 3 overs, and I think I was fielding on the boundary, and not only could I not see the ball, I couldn't see who was bowling. So I thought, now I've seen everything this game has to offer, and happy to retire. And that was my last game, and to go out on a win and win our 3rd World Cup in a row, that was pretty special.
How do you deal with the fame? I mean, it's obvious when you're a sporting legend, you go anywhere in the world, someone or a group of people will recognize who you are, come up to you. How do you deal, and how do you maintain a decent-sized ego? Because obviously it's the biggest thrill for the ego to have people come at you. So
well, I'm a bowler, a fast bowler, so we don't have as big egos as batsmen. Batsmen are the dodgy ones, but no, it's. I don't view myself any differently now to when I grew up on a farm back home in Australia. So in Australia, it's not too bad. You can still walk around, be a normal person. Where I live in southern Sydney, it's people say g'day, but that's about it. So you can still be a normal person. When I come over here or to India or wherever, especially in the subcontinent, you can't go for a walk on the street, things like that. The fame that cricketers have around this part of the world is so much bigger than back home. So, yeah, back home we're left alone a bit, and we can just go about our lives as normal.
But you're left alone in Sri Lanka, aren't you?
When I'm hiding away in my room or in the hotel or in the gym. Like I said, 2001 was the last time I was here, and we arrived yesterday afternoon, so I haven't had a chance to get out and about too much yet.
Right, okay.
The whole no eye contact, keep walking approach, I suppose, works.
Yes, don't stop. If you stop for a photo, an autograph, you get closed in, and then that's it. So keep moving.
But for you, it wasn't always about cricket. In the initial stages when you were getting out of school, I think you wanted to follow a career, or not a career, but you enjoyed basketball at one point, from what I hear.
Yeah, and I always enjoyed playing sport as a young fellow. I started playing tennis when I was 7. I played a bit of rep tennis travelling around New South Wales. I wasn't any good, but I still had a go. And then started playing more golf through school, and then basketball, and played quite a bit of representative basketball. But cricket was my passion, and I played just as a kid, loved it, and even up to the age of 19, I was just playing Saturday afternoons in a small country town, and that was it. So it was just about getting out there playing sport. I was playing more representative basketball than cricket when I was
So
younger.
when did you actually realize that you are pretty good at what you're doing as far as cricket is concerned, and you could possibly carry on?
I always thought that I was okay or pretty decent at bowling. There was plenty of people in my small town there's only 3,000 people that thought I couldn't bowl. The captain of our under-16 team said I couldn't bowl, so he'd bowl everyone else. So it wasn't until I was 17 where I played one representative game, and then I played another game the following year where I got Dougie Walters played in the game,
right.
Legend Australian batsman, and he thought I had a bit of potential. Mentioned me to Steve Rickson, who was captain coach of a club in Sydney. Steve was also Australian wicketkeeper for a while, and I got the call up and said, did I want to move to Sydney to give cricket a go? I was 18 going on 19. I was ready for a bit of a change. I thought it'd be nice to get out of the small town, have a look around. So I said, why not? Moved to Sydney, and within 4 years I was playing for Australia. So things went pretty quickly.
Yeah, he did actually. And you actually played under quite a few captains, didn't you? You played under Steve Waugh.
Yeah.
You played under Ricky Ponting.
Mark Taylor and Alan Border. Yeah.
So which one of the four are the most difficult ones to deal with?
Well, they're all batsmen, so they're all difficult, and I made their job very easy with the way we played. So I enjoyed playing under all of them. I thought they took the team from a certain spot and left it better. Alan Border, when he took over, the team was fairly average. They were going through a lot of troubles with Kim Hughes retiring, and then he took it up to a pretty decent team. Mark Taylor took over a good team, and when he finished up, it was a very good team. Steve Waugh takes over the team, and he wants us to crush the opposition from ball one, not just win.
Right.
So different, more aggressive form of the approach, and then. Poor Rick, where do you take the team from there? But Rick, I think, did a great job. Went on to win 2 World Cups. First time in India for a long time we won a series. So under all captains, I really enjoyed it, and they all brought something different to the team. But I've always shied away from announcing my best 11 or 12 players that I played with in the Australian team. But I did it last year, and I had Rick, Steve, and AB in that team. And I made Alan Border captain, and I think Steve and Rick and Mark Taylor would say the same thing, that AB should be captain.
Do you feel that Ricky Ponting actually took over the best possible Australian team at that point?
Well, yeah, the team was going around winning everywhere.
Invincibles.
It was pretty close. So yeah, where do you take the team from there? But Rick had 7 senior players retire in a 2-year period.
Yeah.
You lose 1 or 2, it can destroy teams, but 7. So he went through that phase where a lot of young cricketers coming through. He really enjoyed sort of working with the young guys, getting the best out of them, improving them as cricketers and as people, and built the team back up to a degree after that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there was a year, I think, close to almost 15 years of Australian dominance in Test cricket and ODI cricket, and we'll find out exactly where Australian cricket is now. I'm sure we will, and when we come back. But we also got lots of text messages, questions from our listeners coming in at the same time.
Yeah, I think there was a question that came in a little while ago about what the locker room chit chat was like after we won in 1996. Do you recall that?
I'm trying to remember. I don't really remember that match. Yeah. Oh no, sorry. I'd rather not remember that match. So I do remember that very clearly, and it was a match we thought we should have won. Sri Lanka were playing some very good cricket at that time. There'd been quite a tough series in Australia, and then the World Cup final.
Right.
We should have scored a lot more runs than the 240 that we got. We're on track to get closer to 300, but Sri Lankans pulled it back, and then we missed about 7 or 8 chances, and Aravinda and Gurusingha and Ranatunga played it incredibly well with the bat, and in the end, won it easily. So I remember thinking, sitting there and how it felt, and I used that as motivation moving on. So to play Sri Lanka in that 2007 was sort of, to even things up. But I think for Sri Lanka to win in 1996 was something pretty big, and they deserved it.
It was a huge win. It really was.
There's a lot of stuff we know about Glenn. There's a lot of stuff we don't know about Glenn, and there's a lot of folks that might not know even as much as we do about your the rest of your life story. And sadly, there were some pretty low moments in your life when you lost your first wife to a battle with cancer, breast cancer, and I can only imagine how difficult that would have been for you. But how did you deal with playing cricket and dealing with single fatherhood at the same time? How did that work?
Yeah, no, sort of throughout my career, that Jane had a battle with breast cancer for about 11 years, and she was always very positive. And I retired in 2007, and she was going along okay. So, and it wasn't until sort of 2008. She passed away in June 2008. I'd retired at that stage, right. So I didn't have to go through being a single father while I was playing. I was well and truly retired, but I had some great people around me. Some very close friends, family that helped me through that time. And I think when you go through something like that, you realise what's important in life, and
right.
it's the people that are close to you in your life that are important. And it was tough, but I think everyone's got their own battles and challenges to face, and it's how you pick yourself up and continue on. And I look at the McGrath Foundation back home, a charity that we set up because of Jane's experience, and the main objectives are to raise awareness of breast cancer, and especially in younger women, and also to raise funds to place breast care nurses in communities around Australia. So what's been created there, and we have 110 nurses employed now. They've supported more than 44,000 families, and just hearing those numbers just blows me away. It makes me I'm very proud that out of such a tragic incident, that something very positive has happened. And I think there's a lot of scope for us in Sri Lanka also to develop early diagnosis, if you will, of detection of things like breast cancer in general. And it would be great to eventually have someone like you as a brand ambassador, for example, for that front. Maybe bring your foundation here and do something a little international with that. But that's all in the future, in the pipeline maybe. But we'll take a little break right now. It's exactly 17 minutes past 8. On the other side, a few more moments and a little more chitter-chatter with the legend, the Australian paceman, of course, Glenn McGrath, here in the EFM studios, having an exclusive chat with us. Tonight is going to be a big night for him. He gets the chance to mix and mingle with lots of invitees. That's a different story altogether. But we'll take that break and we'll be back and maybe share some information about that also on the other side.
8:17 is the time right now. Good morning. 8:22 is the time right now. Good morning. 1st of September, Thursday morning. This is the Showgram with Shaq and Mark, and we've got the legend in the studio with us, having a wonderful chat and what he's actually been up to after he's retired from cricket, which
just
was
turn on Glenn's
ago.
mic once again. I just want to ask you something. In Australia, do you have any luxury apartment complexes that have helicopters waiting on their the
helipad?
Yeah, basically on their guests or apartment folk owners.
I think there are helipads on some of the major buildings, apartments in Sydney, but not sitting there all the time. So,
right.
Why's that?
No, I was just...
Would you like to buy an apartment in Sri Lanka that'll give you that?
Well, I've done 20 hours on my helicopter license, so it's something I would... It was over a long time. I'd like to get back and finish that. That's one of my goals in life.
I am almost certain that I can get you an exclusive apartment, most likely next to nothing, because these folks are the wonderful people that are building the first ever 7-star luxury property in the city of Colombo, right here, not even 200 meters away from this very exact location we are at. And they have a helicopter stationed at the apartment complex for their patrons to use, which is why they call themselves 7-star luxury. So anyways, I just wanted to check on that in Australia. And getting back into this endorsement real quick, Blue Mountain, that is of course the wonderful company that's doing this, and they want you to head on over to the world's highest standalone show apartment today. It's open 7 days of the week, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can give them a buzz and check out this wonderful property and this wonderful show apartment by calling 0714-260-260. What do you have for us, Shakwal?
This is a great question that actually came out. I think we should actually ask Glenn this question before we take a break. What is the secret of what was your secret for playing consistently for so many years? Lots of injuries to the current fast bowlers in almost every single country hinder the performance and the possibilities. What's your advice?
You've got to work hard. I think intensity of cricket has changed since I was playing. A lot more T20 cricket. It's faster, it's quicker pace. You fly to a spot, you play, you're off the next day. So different recovery and the way you go about things. So I think intensity has increased. But the important thing, especially for fast bowlers, is to have a little bit of an off-season. Just to put the strength back in and get fit and strong again, because bowling and running are two things that deplete our strength. And as a fast bowler, it's quite a stressful action. It's tough on the body. And if we keep playing without having an off-season, sooner or later, we're going to run out of petrol. So that's, I think, one of the big things. So I used to train so hard off the field. So when I played, it was like having a break, but I needed an off-season every now and then just to recharge the battery.
Interesting, yeah. So that seems to be the advice that Glenn has for you. 8:29 is the time right now. Don't forget, we're Facebook Live. We actually are just about to go part 2 with the legendary Glenn McGrath in the studio with us. So many messages coming in on 0756883883. So, Glenn, everyone's talking about Australians and sledging and, basically they play really tough on the field, but is it the same off the field? I mean, I've seen you having few confrontations with a few batsmen in the past in your playing days. It's not very happy to look at.
I'm not sure what you're talking about. I rarely said anything on the field. So, no, I think it's interesting, sledging, and I think the media do make a lot more of it than actually happens in the middle. Every team sledges, there's no doubt about that. I think just the way the Australians go about it, we're very upfront in the way we do things. We play it hard and tough out in the middle, and then everyone's friends and mates again off the field in the way it should be. And so let me tell you, Sri Lankans play it tough on the field, and don't worry, they gave as good as they got in respects to sledging or banter out in the middle. So, and that's fine. You've got to give it everything you've got. You're representing your country. It is something very special.
Yes, yeah, of course it is. And that's just the Australian culture, isn't it? Play the game hard, play the game fair, and at the end of it, just basically have a good time off the field.
No, exactly right. And if we're playing each other, playing our mates, it's even harder than you see. When we're playing another country or another team. So that's the way it should be. You expect the toughest battle out in the middle, and the guys to give everything they've got. But then, as soon as you walk back off the field, everyone's the same. We can enjoy it, and as I said, everyone's friends again.
Everyone's having a good time.
Nice text. 12 minutes ago, this came in. As an Australian, do you agree with the no ball calling of Murali by umpire Daryl Hare? Did you, or how did the Australian team at the time feel about that?
Yeah, so that was obviously a very controversial time, and what happened. You can't change that. And you look at Murali. If you look at the laws of the game, he was allowed to continue playing. So the powers to be had no issues with him, and that's all we can go by. The fact that he's finished with over 800 Test wickets is just absolutely incredible, and nobody will get close to him. He'll hold that record for the rest of time. He was an amazing bowler, amazing guy. One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Always laugh and a smile, and on the field he looked a bit scary a couple of times, but off the field he's very funny. He's good value.
Yeah. Talking about, obviously we spoke about your time with the Australian team, your captains that you played under, and talking about the current generation of the Australian, and especially the team in Sri Lanka right now. The Australians that we've known and we've loved to obviously enjoy the brand of cricket is really not survival, is it? Because what we feel with the current Australian squad is more survival than attack.
You want to try that question again?
Which is he gets it, you don't.
I hope he gets it.
I think you're talking from a batting perspective.
Right,
so we've had issues with playing batting on turning tracks in the subcontinent, and for some reason we don't seem to have come up with a plan or a game plan that's been working. So that's an issue. We either get really defensive and stop scoring and just try to survive, which I think is the wrong way to go about it, or we start getting over aggressive and we try to attack and go too hard and we get out. So we haven't come up with a solution yet. I remember Matthew Hayden when we went to a tour to India. Didn't play the spin that well, so he worked out how to handle it. He started playing sweep shots and became a very good player of the shot. And that's how he handled the turning tracks and did very well on the subcontinent. So I think the Australians need to come up with a way how they can, bat on those tracks, but you have to have intent to score. If you stop scoring and it's just about survival, you've got 9 guys plus a keeper right around you putting pressure, and it only takes one little mistake and it's all over. So you still have to have intent to score.
Interesting. Yeah, that's exactly what we knew as far as the Australian teams were back then with Matthew Hayden, Adam Gilchrist, and we had an interesting question about Adam Gilchrist and his golf ball.
There was a squash ball.
The squash ball, yeah,
squash
not the golf
ball, yeah.
ball.
Did that happen?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it did. So 2000 World Cup, Gilly wasn't hitting the ball that well. He felt his bottom hand was being a little bit too dominant, and his coach said, "Why don't you put?" He apparently practiced that way before. He said, put a squash ball inside the glove of your bottom hand, which means you can't grip the bat as tightly, and then you become a lot more top-hand dominant. So he did that in all things, the World Cup final, and went out and smashed an unbelievable
140 or something like that.
And set the game up, and he was man of the match. So I was a bit disappointed with Gilly in that respect.
Were you?
Yeah, because I thought he should have told me that at the beginning of my career. I might have scored a few runs, but the old squash ball in the glove, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, there was a very high point in your career when you dismissed Lara. It was coined as the Lara ball. It happened in 1999. Lots of fans, your fans, want to know and want you to talk us through it if you can. It would be great.
Yeah, no, it was a World Cup match, 99, in Manchester, and we really had our backs against the wall. If we lost another game, we're out of the tournament. Yeah. So it was overcast. There was a little bit of grass on the wicket, and I got an early wicket, and Brian came in, and early on in the innings, I bowled one that pitched around about leg stump, just seemed away from him. He played for straight. Missed it, and it just clipped the top of off stump and got him out bowled. So everyone was carrying on what an amazing delivery it was, unplayable, all this. And then Mark Wall comes up to me and goes, that ball, I've looked at it, I've seen the replay, it pitched, went dead straight, did absolutely nothing. Brian Lara just played all around it. He made it look far better than what it was. So he said that ball was nothing special.
It must be so competitive, the Australian cricket team. I'm sure all cricket teams are like that, but you guys, it's a different league altogether. You obviously inspire each other. But off-field, where do you draw motivation, inspiration in general and as a cricketer per se? Can you maybe give us a little heads up on that?
Yeah, so I think you look at the Australian team back then, it was amazing that we played so well together because there were some very big egos within that team, but we really come together and played well on the field. I think the secret to the success was that we enjoyed each other's success as much as our own, and I think that's what makes a really strong team.
Right.
Off the field for me, what's important in life is family. So I've got 3 children. In James and Holly and Madison. James is 16, Holly's 14, and Madison will be 1 this Sunday. So going through fatherhood again, but that's what drives me and was my motivation, was my family, so that to me that's what's important, and I love spending time with my family, and that was why I retired in the end, because I was on the road so much. I was still playing well. For somehow I got player of the tournament in my last series, which was the World Cup. Yeah. So I thought that was a perfect way to go out, and I love nothing better than spending time at home with the family and having friends around, good food, and just enjoy life.
Here's a good question. I've seen Glenn McGrath talking to himself or walking back to the marker many times. What was all that about?
Yeah, there was a lot of people say I sort of sledged a fair bit or had a lot of chat to the batsman out the middle, which I had a chat every now and then, but it wasn't as bad as people thought. But I always had very high expectations of myself, and if I didn't deliver as well as I thought I should have, then I was unhappy with myself. But what I used to do is it was just a habit or just happened. I talked to myself, but I talked to myself out loud. So I'm walking back to the top of my mark, and I'm I guess in a sense I was sledging myself because that ball didn't go where I wanted it to, and I hated the batsman scoring any runs at all, especially off a bad ball. So it was just, that's how I sort of got it out. I talked to myself, got myself going for next ball, and it's it's one of those things. When you're out in the middle, the last thing you think of is 20 or 30 cameras pointing at you.
That's true.
It's only when you get off the field and you watch a few replays and you went, oops, I look like a pork chop then. But that was what I did. I talked to myself out loud, and that's how I went about it.
You've been playing for a long time, obviously, and you've bowled against some of the best batsmen in your era. Would you be able to pick out the best that you bowled to?
Any batsman on their day can do well, there's no doubt. But day in, day out, probably the two standouts would be Brian Lara, Sachin Tendulkar. Two quality players. Sachin, 200 tests. Nobody will get near him in the amount of runs he scored. Yep. Brian, I got Brian out 15 times in test matches, but he scored some big hundreds, big double hundreds against us. And he was the type of player you could never change his game. He just wanted to go out there, play the shots, and early days I used that against him with the way very aggressive field placements, everyone in the slips, and one mistake, he's out sort of thing. So he was probably up there. I put Brian slightly in front of everyone else. But then you look at the Sri Lankan players, Joe Surya, De Silva, Sangakkara and Jay Warden are just class players. There's no doubt about that. But early days when I was playing, you had Arjuna Ranatunga, you had Aravinda De Silva, and we always felt if we didn't get Aravinda out, we wouldn't win the match. If we got Aravinda out, then we're a good chance we're going to win.
How difficult was it to bowl to Sanjay Surya during that time? Because that was the time they discovered this cowboy cricket back in 1995, smashing 100 runs in the first 10 overs or whatever. How difficult was it to bowl to him when he was in that mood?
He was a quality batsman, and that sort of period under Arjuna and with Sanath opening the innings, and I think Kalu with Rana was coming in at the opening spot as well, and they innovated that opening partnership in the first 10 overs where they came out, went hard and scored 100 runs off the first 10. So when he was on fire, he was as tough as anyone. But I got Sanath out a few times.
Yes, you did.
Just generally the ball's just seaming away from him and he nicking it, caught behind through the slips. But on his day he just hit you everywhere.
Yeah.
Now, India is producing certain bowlers that are clocking speeds of like 150k. Right, and in those conditions, it's kind of unique to see that happening. I mean, you are the expert. In Sri Lanka, how do you feel we can replicate that kind of speed and that kind of accuracy, if you will?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I think I do a bit of work at a fast bowling academy in India, and we're looking to discover these express bowlers. And out of India, there's very few and far between where guys bowl. I think at the moment, Yadav gets 150, Varunaran, who I've worked with, can get up there as well, but they're very rare. But then you go up to Pakistan where there seem to be fast bowlers everywhere, so I'm not sure whether it's genetics, whether it's diet, what it is. But to be a quick bowler, to have that raw pace is something that's natural. You can't train a bowler who bowls 130 kilometres an hour to bowl 150 plus. It's just not natural. They've got to be born with that unique ability. So we're always on the lookout for guys who bowl with raw pace, and then we can refine them and get them to work harder and get more accurate. I hate seeing bowlers slow down to become more accurate. I'd rather see them bowl that unique raw pace and train harder to get a bit of control. But I think they're very rare. They're unique. You nearly call them freaks. Guys who can bowl 150 plus.
Interesting. A couple of questions that we have obviously coming in, 0756 883 got to take this quick break. It's 8:42. It's 8:43 as a matter of fact. We've got the Australian legend Glenn McGrath in the studio with us, and a few more minutes before we let him go. It's such a busy schedule he's got, and we'll be back right after. 8:45 is the time right now. So our final 15 minutes that we have with Glenn McGrath in the studio with us on a very special tour to Sri Lanka as a brand ambassador, and we're really excited. We're actually privileged, more than excited, to actually have him in the studio with us. And we've got so many questions. You've got so many questions.
We've asked many of those
questions. We
questions.
actually do have asked many of those questions.
And we still have folks sending in texts filled with love and joy. Hi, Glenn. You're my favorite cricketer. As always, all the best. So nice to hear your voice. That's Gayani Silva listening to us right now.
Yeah, g'day. It's nice to know that I've got fans over here, or people that didn't mind the way I played cricket.
So yeah, Aman, we actually, shall we do the call right now?
I think that's a really good idea because we are on a bit of a tight schedule. So while you slowly get that organized,
just giving you a background on what this call is going to be. We had a Glenn McGrath fan reach out to us, and she's been desperate to obviously get in touch with him. Naturally, and obviously we can't. And she said she's had a crush on him since she was 14.
And then I said I had a crush on Glenn since I was about 13.
And then we stopped talking after that.
Everything stopped at that moment.
So what we're going to do right now is the fact that we're trying to give her a call, let's surprise her, and we're Glenn in the studio. Let's see how it goes. Okay,
let's check that out. Yeah, lots more text, like I said, coming in. Hi, Mark. Because of the attitude infield, I hated Glenn at one point, but way back in 2009, I met him in Brisbane at a 4x4 show. I told him that I am from Sri Lanka, and I chatted, and he had a lot of respect for me, and he realized that I realized that he was a true gentleman. All the very best and good morning. I bet you don't remember that incident because you probably meet so many folks on so many different occasions. So
yeah, no, I have a lot of people come up, and I'm more than happy to chat because I don't view myself any differently from anyone else. And I think a lot of people, especially from the subcontinent, from India and Sri Lanka, they used to be scared of me. They think I wouldn't, I'd yell at them or whatever. I was unapproachable, but I think they're nicely surprised that I'm friendly, and I'm more than happy to have a chat.
Nice. Are we on?
Yes, we are. We've got somebody online. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, so you have actually reached out to us and basically told us that you've had this huge crush on Glenn McGrath since you were 14.
Yes, I've been having the biggest crush ever, I suppose, since I was 14.
Okay,
yes.
So now we are hopefully making your dream come true because he's right here in the studio and we're giving you the opportunity to talk to him right now. What's your name?
Kaushalya.
Kaushalya, let me introduce a gentleman by the name of Glenn McGrath in the studio with us.
Hi, Kaushalya. How are you?
I'm speechless.
Well,
Hi, Glenn. I've been a huge fan of yours since I was 14. A short while ago, you said that you were in Sri Lanka for 3 matches, and I happened to be part of, I've been at the audience at all 3 matches, and I've been the biggest fan ever.
Well, it's really nice to speak to you, and it's nice to know I've got fans and friends over here in Sri Lanka, so good to see you enjoy your cricket as well.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm coming from a very cricketing background. I mean, family background. My father had, played for cricket some time ago, and I generally go for most of the matches. So yes,
very nice.
I'm thrilled right now. I'm thrilled.
And whereabouts do you live? Are you in Colombo here?
Yes, I am in Colombo, but right now, to be very honest, I'm out of Colombo. I work a little out of Colombo in Biagama. But then, I do live in Colombo.
Glenn, how about we take this to the next level? Invite her tonight for our little shindig. Shall we do that? Yeah?
More than happy to if she's going to be back by then. I'm happy to say hello. And
how's that, Kaushalya?
I would love it. Oh my God.
Okay, wonderful. So we've got your number, and hopefully we made your dream come true by giving you the opportunity to talk to him, and maybe you possibly will also end up meeting him later on this evening, okay?
Oh my God, this is awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
See you later.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes, same over you. Thank you. Bye.
All right, you must be getting a whole load of that. Obviously, going all crazy over you, Glenn
A
McGrath.
lot of lady fans.
Oh, it's nice to know that there's some ladies out there and not just all the guys, anyway, isn't it? So,
You know, it's always important to know when to quit, right? It's always not to quit like in that kind of way, but to understand that you've reached the pinnacle of whatever it is you're doing, and then gracefully stop what you're doing and do something else. And I think it's coming to the point on our little interview now where we've hit the highest point we could hit, and we will now slowly but surely wrap up our little interview. And one thing I wanted to know, Glenn, if our SLC, for example, makes you an offer to come and coach our national side as far as fast bowling goes, not saying that we don't have some fantastic fast bowlers from way back when, like Chamin Davas and so on and so forth, would you actually be in a position to consider something like that?
yeah, I've been approached by a few countries, and it's something I've considered. I haven't done it as of yet. The Sri Lankans have approached me, and I thought seriously about it, but it didn't quite work out at that time. So, yeah, you never know. I said I was never going to coach. I was never going to commentate. I was never going to do a few other things. I've done them all. So never say never, but who knows? Maybe I'll be back here and give some advice and hopefully help some young Sri Lankan bowlers come up through the system or help them out to perform at the best.
Fantastic. Super
So
stuff.
a couple of we got 3 questions that we're
Okay.
going to ask Glenn on Glenn.
Okay.
Let's see if you can.
All right. All
Let's see
right.
if you can
See
actually
if
get it.
I know them. Do you know the answers to
We
you?
know the answers. These are the
Okay.
ones that you've given us. So basically, tell us, what did you use as a wicket to train yourself bowling in your early days?
I grew up on a farm in a small country town. I used to bowl down the back at the sheds, and it was sometimes I used a water trough, but most of the time was a 44-gallon drum.
That's the one that I'm looking for.
Nice.
Okay, so when you worked in a bank, you used to sign the withdrawal slips and pass them to girls and say what?
Yeah, just joking that they should hang on to them because one day I might be famous.
There you
or I
have
will
it.
be famous.
That's the one. How many times have you claimed Michael Atherton's wicket?
Yeah, I got him out a couple of times. I think it's 19.
19, the
Correct.
highest
Correct.
by any
Yes.
bowler so far.
Nice.
Who was your 300th test victim?
300th Test wicket was a nice milestone at the WACA 2000-2001 series, and he was a middle batsman. I got out in a hat trick, and it was a guy we spoke about before, Mr. Lara,
Brian
Lara.
Lara, 300 test wicket. And what was the infamous statement that you made in the 2005 Ashes test series in England? If England won the test series, you would?
No, I never said that. So that was the media having a bit of fun. I'm sure I said we were going to win 5-0 at the start of it, but I had heard that, but no, I hadn't said it. What was it again?
You said that you would obviously take a boat back home.
Yeah, boat back home. So no, that is something that came from the English media, I'm sure. I didn't think we would lose.
But they did. Anyway, thank you so much, Glenn. It has been an absolute treat. You are a fantastic gentleman, a great ambassador for the game of cricket. And of course, it's an absolute privilege for us to have you on the show today.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, and a big g'day to everyone out there. Hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gonna leave you with this song and see you in just a bit.